the audio. We can get all this working. Check, 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 check. Hey, Andrew's in there. What's up, Andrew? Hey, Andrew's in there. What's up, Andrew? Testing, testing. Hey, Andrew's in there. What's up, Andrew? Testing, testing. Hey. Test, test, test. Helen Keller versus Traffic wants to know, magnets, how do they work? Helen Keller versus Traffic wants to know. Okay, I think it works. I think it's working. Hey, Sycamore's in here. What's up, Sycamore? So I thought it might be fun to come on and hit some putts, obviously. Got to get our short putting work in. But also, just do a little recap of the Open. A very good one. Oh, Andrew says it's low like quiet. Is it better now? Is it better now? Alright, well hopefully you can hear me okay. Just drop a comment if you can. We'll get it sorted out.
Hey, Carol.
Sycamore, the match was very good. It was back and forth, you could say. I won't spoil it. Because that wouldn't be any fun. But it was very compelling. Anybody else get to watch some of the Open Championship this morning? Or it could be, you know, this afternoon, depending on when you watched it. It was, I think it was really telling just the extent to which after it was all said and done, everybody was just like, man, that guy's on another level, talking about Scotty. And the golf that he plays is so smart and strategic, and you know, people call it boring, but I think it's just so, if you really like golf strategy and, you know, understanding how to consistently shoot consistent low scores, just watch how Scotty plays. I don't think there's really anything that could be boring about that. It's just, you know, when you're playing that much better than the guys in the field, it's not his fault that they can't shoot 16 under when he's 17 under, right? Back to Sycamore's question. Funny enough, despite how bad my putting has been, after we had that crazy long streak on the stream the other night, and we put this Scotty back in the bag for the match today, I made I don't know, probably like 75 feet of putts in 9 holes. So that's not going to happen all the time, but it's pretty fun when it does. Made like a one from outside of 30 feet for birdie. Made like a 25 footer for birdie. Putter was really solid. We are going to need Scotty to bring that kind of game in September, because if you look at that leaderboard, that Ryder Cup team, based on how they played in the majors, could be really, really good. They did confirm that Bryson's going to be on the team. I don't know if that was like up for debate. Sycamore says, I watched Scotty do Scotty things. Yep, that's exactly right. Hey, Ropey Loads. Drip says, your mat looks askew. I love Scotty Blades. I own a Newport original. Awesome. Joshua Jackson said hi. Hey, Joshua. Yeah, this is a Newport Beach. This is 2003. Still with the Titleist on the face. So I've had this one for a while. I really, really like it. Most of the time I don't feel capable enough to use it, but simply because it's not a forgiving putter. But on a day like today, I rolled it really, really nicely. I think there's something about a solid face to me compared to an insert that makes speed control for some reason a little bit easier. I think it's just maybe more consistent across the face. I actually don't know the answer to that, but we can find out. I know everything else about a mallet should say that the MOI being higher would mean it would be, more forgiving on mishits in terms of energy transfer, so maybe it's just I had a good day, and I should be happy with that. Man, I thought for a moment, if things had gone really haywire on Scotty on, I think it was hole 8, when he got stuck in the bunker and then he had to still chip it out. Angie Ball said, golf is for elderly. Well, it could be. It's for everybody, which is what's awesome about it. Chevy said, hi there, how you doing? Doing great. Getting ready for the week, doing some putting, talking about the Open. That's a nice setup, thank you very much. Hybrid or driving iron? Good question, Woody. Depends on, I've gone to more woods and hybrids in my bag, just in an attempt to make things easier. But I will say this 2-iron is one of my favorite clubs ever, so any excuse I can find to put it back in the bag, I usually do for a round. But for the last few months it's been mostly just because of, for the distance I need to hit it, right, hitting it into par 5s, it's going to be much more difficult than something like a 5 would, right? That's going to spin more, launch higher, come down, much more softly. But on windy days, definitely love having a 2-iron. So I think that's my answer is, have one of each for different use cases. Speaking of hybrids, guys, go check out the most recent short on the channel. If you want to enter the giveaway, we are giving away a very cool Adams hybrid. So if that is a club that you are interested in putting in your bag, go check that video out. see how to enter the giveaway. It's very simple. 2-step process. Just subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Firefighter Golf. Go over to Instagram, do the same thing, and then drop a comment on that post. Just a double check mark saying I did both those steps. And we'll get you in the giveaway entry. There's a certain feel a Scotty has. Yeah, they make high quality putters. What's your go-to putter? I've seen you putt with some, but what's your favorite? I think the Spider is the one that I feel the best with most of the time. This guy. But I think it's a good idea to mix it up every once in a while. Just let your brain focus on something different, other than the outcome. Putting becomes very, outcome oriented. Did I make it or not? Right? You can, but I think it's better, to judge yourself on like, well, did I have a good process? Did I hit my intended line? Right? That's really, what makes you a good putter. And these days are volatile, and the outcomes exist on a bell curve like anything else. So some days are going to be really, really, really good, and some are going to be really terrible, and most of them are going to be somewhere in between. So that did not really answer your question, but I think these two putters are the ones that I've held on to the longest. I've tried tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of putters over the years. But something like this with a plumber's neck, Newport 1 shape has always been, what my eye prefers, and then I found one with a sound slot that I really like. So I've held on to this one, and then obviously the red Spider that you guys have seen me use. Tried the broomstick for a lot of last year. That was a really failed experiment. Jason said hi. Hey, Jason Miller. Welcome back to the stream. Thanks for being here, guys. And I've been messing around with this left-hand low grip in an attempt to just improve the quality of the strike. And that's something I've done a lot over the years. Is probably with that left-hand low style. I've, used it and gone away from it and come back to it. So not something that I'm unfamiliar with, but definitely felt really good out there with the putter today. The wedges and the irons left a bit to be desired. Hit it pretty solidly off the tee. I gotta say, after watching all 4 rounds of the Open this year, I feel like finding a way to play at Royal Portrush would just be, it's like rocketing up to the top of the list for me. Oops. Yeah, I mean, just such an incredible looking property. Some of the shots that these guys were able to play along the ground and running the ball through the humps and bumps, it just seems like such a cool way to try to get a golf ball into the hole. AKA Moses says, hey everyone, I lost some distance with my clubs. Do you have any advice to get that back? For example, pitching wedge was 100 to 105, now 85 to 90, 7 iron 150 down to 130. Well, my advice would be to try to break it down into the, what are the potential culprits, right? What could be causing that? And it would be helpful if you knew, some of the data points from before when you were hitting it further, but it's okay if you don't. So the different, the options are the strike quality could have deteriorated, right? Maybe before you were consistently striking the center of the face and, had an appropriate descending attack angle into the ball, right? Maybe something in your swing changed, something in your body changed, and you're missing the center of the face. Maybe you're losing some of that angle into the ball. All these things can cause you to not hit the ball as far consistently. So that's one thing you could check is, am I still striking the ball solidly? Hey, VL City, what's up? Thanks for checking out the stream tonight. Option 2, right, is did your club head speed change, right? For some reason, maybe you're trying to stay more connected in your swing and you're thinking about things, and maybe I'm, speaking from experience, trying to really focus on positions and losing some club head speed as a result. Maybe your body, you could be injured, right? Lots of things can cause us to not swing as fast as we did before. So if you had a launch monitor or a way to tell, like my 7-iron I was swinging it at 85 and now it's 82, and you could say, okay, that would account for that loss of distance. So that's how I would think about the problem, and some ways to go about getting answers to those questions. There could be lots of reasons, right? Did you change clubs? Are you playing a different golf ball? Were you playing in different weather conditions, right? Was it 90 degrees, and now it's 60? That could definitely make a big difference in how far the ball flies. When you've played a lot of golf in temperatures in the high 30s, like I have, high 30s Fahrenheit, you learn like that ball is not really going to compress. You got to hit a lot of extra club because it's not going to go very far. So those are some options. You're welcome, Moses. I hope that was helpful. Hope that answers your question. Tonight I've got an alcohol-free version of Stella. This is a pretty tasty option. Important to stay hydrated out there, guys, especially in the summertime. Dehydration is a killer. That could be another culprit, Moses, for your club head speed question, right? Maybe people will go through periods where they lift weights a lot and they're really, really strong, and then they get away from that and club head speed can go down. So lots of different potential reasons, but I was dealing with the same sort of thing, Moses, earlier in the year. Just being like, man, it doesn't feel like, the ball's going as far as I'm used to, and these clubs are basically built up exactly the same as the old ones. What's going on here? And then I pretty quickly realized that I was just not striking the center of the face and delivering more loft than I had been previously. So those were kind of the two reasons that I saw maybe like a 10%, 5% maybe reduction in carry distance. And I changed clubs, right? So even though the lofts in the build is the same, you know, you never know exactly different pieces of equipment perform differently, right? Hit the ball already, Sergio. Ha, good one, David. My only thought is you did help me with some tips from coming over the top. Well, I'm glad that those tips were helpful, Moses. That's awesome. That is always the outcome that we hope to find. It's a shame that Sergio likely won't be on the Ryder Cup team at Bethpage. Because I feel like the fans would just absolutely torture him. Oh, brutal. Just hung on the lip. Jason says, have you ever made a hole-in-one ever? I have never made one. Not yet. Someday I will. Of that I'm sure. Gosh, I've lipped one out. Hit a 7-iron. It landed about a foot behind the hole. It was a front hole location on a slope, and it hit right behind the hole, and it hit the bottom, or kind of the bottom lip, and ended up and just sat on the lip on the other side, about 6 inches away. That's probably the closest one I've had. I hit the flagstick on the fly from like 220 yards. And the ball ricocheted probably 40 yards from the green, made a bogey. You know, I've had a couple end up within a foot over the years, but never got one to go in. I pulled out from the fairway a whole bunch of times. Alas, never made one. Have you guys made one? If you guys have made a hole-in-one, drop a 1 in the chat or say hi. Tell you what, it feels pretty solid at the moment. Long day though. Started at, balls were in the air at 6:40 this morning. Nice. Do you have aspirations to be a pro golfer? No, I do not. I would like to, at some point have some part of my career be in golf. I don't know if that's, making content or doing this kind of thing. But yeah, eventually have, be in the industry some way. But no, I don't think physically I could do it. I think my body would break down very quickly. Do people look down on people who use lab putters? I don't think so. Moses says one. Pure luck, Desert Dunes, Palm Springs, no insurance, bar tab was $350. Brutal. Oh. Well, at least you can say you made one. Right? If you told me right now, hey, come up with $350, you get a hole in one, I'd probably do it. I definitely would do it. I like to just a hockey stick. Well, I think Odyssey for Happy Gilmore, they just came out with one. Give that a try. What golf mat do you recommend? This is just a cheap one. All this, this green strip here. But this Wellstroke mat back here, this is where the magic happens. And then I pair that with this Pels tutor. This is a training aid that these go together, so to say. And this is what I use to train start line, right? These ball bearings act as a gate. And the mat underneath gives me, in my peripheral vision, I can see, did I keep the putter in that arc, right? And if I do, I have a pretty good chance that I'm going to return the putter to where I started, hit the putt in the center of the face. Hopefully that face is square, starts the ball on my intended line, ball rolls into the hole. It's all very simple, right? Now you just have to do it, a lot of times. So this is also scalable, so you can make this easier, move these ball bearings back to make that gate wider if you're just getting started. So this is the combo that I have spent a lot of time practicing on. Oh, missed it on the right.